Welcome everybody to our Monday night empowerment session. And tonight we will be focusing on the Solle Naturals lift category and doing a short synopsis of each of the products that are in that category and understanding a little bit more about what the lift category does. Now, the lift category does have quite a few products in it, and so we're just going to jump right in and get going. So right off the bat, we're going to start with the Compass Blend. This has been a crowd favorite, shall we say, and for multiple things. It is so hard to put, there's so many testimonies for this blend, and we've had it 2 years, I think. But anyhow, the first one we're going to look at here is having a case of shingles. Their antiviral medication, they had started, but the pain was what was off the charts. And they took the Comfort Blend, they just gotten it, and they found that that was helping with the pain better than any prescriptions. And I've heard multiple people say that before. So using the Comfort Blend topically for the shingles. And then I personally have suggested that multiple clients use the Comfort over their heart after suffering a loss in their life, because that grieving process is so painful. There is a reason they talk about broken heart or dying from a broken heart, because the pain that's tied with it. Every one of these people that has used this Comfort Compass Blend in this type of situation has raved about it. And I've told them, you might go through it, a bottle in a week initially, but continue using it, and over time, you won't require as much. But I love, and that how effective that is. And it is something to keep in mind for this time of year. This time of year can be a challenging time of year for people. And of course, with the lift blend being in it, it is also smells kind of Christmassy. So what are the key benefits? And again, we're just going to do one short synopsis slide on each of these products. So the key benefits when you're looking at the Comfort Compass Blend, talking about relief with lungs. So lungs having to do with grief, heart, silent reflux, GI, so gastrointestinal upset, cold and flu. A lot of people are using this right now. This is the time of year when colds and flus go around. And the antiviral properties of this are very good for that. Vertigo, parasites, lymph stagnation, and then issues tied with the left side of the body. Mentally helps, you can use on the temples, neckline, pulse points. And I like this, how it talks about not only enhancing mood, but increasing productivity, learning ability, decision-making, and combating fatigue. And then emotionally helps to manage grief, despair, brokenheartedness, and moving out stagnant emotions and feeling withdrawn. This time of year also can be challenging for introverted people. And being around the holiday season and maybe being around family, and it is hard to kind of feel comfortable being present. And so this is another blend that I would consider utilizing in this case. So what is the lift category? The lift category is the red category, and think of it about raising from a lower level to a higher level. And I know that's a very simple definition, but examples here would be like energy levels. So I want you to listen in some of the products here, things that lift in energy levels. And actually the Comfort Blend can do it right then and there. I know plenty of people that use it over the thyroid, working with energy. The immune system, lifting it up so it can help challenge and work with whatever colds and flus are going around, or exposure to bacteria or viruses. Mental focus, helping be able to zone in to be able to accomplish the tasks at hand, mood, and then just overall wellness. So I want you to pay attention to that theme, and or listening to what we're talking about and see what is it lifting up in the category. That'll help you to better understand why we placed it in that category. So our next natural shift here to me is the lift blend, and there is some lift in the Comfort Blend. Now lift, just along with all of our concentrated Solle Essential blends, we do use those with a carrier. We do not use them neat or direct. This is a great testimony about using it with hypothyroidism, which, like I was talking about using that Comfort for that, but using that in a roll-on and applying it to the thyroid area with a carrier oil. And we've seen that it brings that circulation to the area, it brings that, in fact, redness. And I still remember Shauna getting a hold of me and telling me about this because she was so tired. She almost couldn't even function. So she grabbed the lift, applied it, and it helped her to focus, helped her to be able to get through. Happened the second day. And it got the same results. So she did. She came into the shop. She's like, you have got to see this. And it was within under a minute, everything had turned bright red. I don't know if that still does that with her, but it was very effective blend in my for working with the hypothyroidism. And I've had many women that are doing this with either just the lift, or now that we have the comfort blend with the lift in it, using that as well. So what exactly is in the lift blend? We do have 5 different oils that are in here, and this is the breakdown of what those oils do that are in there. So you see, we've got cinnamon, which is why some people will talk about it being like Christmas in a bottle. Gives strength of purpose and enhancing creativity. Blood orange is very good for antidepressant. As a tonic, revitalizes the mind. Lime, and lime is, all of these I've always liked individually, but the blend of them together is just really powerful. So lime restores, calms, balances emotions, and encourages compassion and self-love. So important and can be so challenging for so many people. Ravensara is an essential oil that I have loved for decades. And one of the things I like here when it comes in emotionally is helping it release feelings of grief, guilt, sadness, defeatedness, confusion, and anguish. So sometimes when we just get so overwhelmed, we just don't feel like we can go on. It's just too much. Ravensara works excellent for that. So remember, that is in our lift blend. And this is one of the reasons it works so well. And then pink grapefruit has a very euphoric effect on the psyche, helping promote that freedom to be. And yes, I just focused on the emotional components, but look how powerful that those are. Again, lifting emotions, lifting the mood. And then all the other aspects that are tied in here, whether it's energy, whether it is the immune system, whether it's the digestive system, just very powerful blend. So another blend that we have in the lift category is the Solle Maca XD. This blend is, we sell a lot of this blend, and it is outstanding. We've had a lot of people get phenomenal results also with the thyroid, this as well, along with libido, energy focus. But this is a neat testimony here talking about how well it works for circulation. So again, lifting the circulation here. And they said the biggest thing they notice other than sustained energy is that their constantly cold feet are now warm. What a joy it is to have warm feet. So, and even more powerful is understanding that this person had been diagnosed with diabetic neuropathy and serious vein issues. So you know what the challenge they were having with their circulation. In fact, their blood was flowing backwards in their legs, and therefore didn't hardly reach their feet at all. But when they started taking the Solle Maca, their feet got warm. They didn't get chilly. They were able to get warmed up very quickly with only just socks, which was unheard of before. So very powerful testimony here when it comes to circulation. And I pulled that testimony in particular, because I think it's something people don't consider, that often think of. So the ingredients that are in Solle Maca XD, we have the yellow, red, and black maca. Maca, working with libido, bones, prostate health. I have a lot of men that refer to this as their prostate formula now, and it has helped them with their numbers very well. You can see it helps lift up the brain, so it's working with memory, cognitive support, but yet at the same time, it helps with sleep. Well, remember, these adaptogens, this is what they do. They help to balance out the system so it normalizes and is doing what it's supposed to. Kupuasu, remembers that very powerful superfruit that is in the chocolate family, but it doesn't have the main components that chocolate does, but it has that richness and roundness in the flavor. But it's very powerful with antioxidants, and it has a lot of amino acids. Cordyceps is the adaptogen that I love, that is so outstanding for the lungs, but it also is going to come in with your adrenals, your cardiovascular system, just general energy and endurance. Damiana works very well for restoring an exhaustive state of mind, along with being a sexual rejuvenator. And then the tribulus, we're looking at libido, blood sugar, circulation, and athletic performance. And again, this is just a couple of the items, but notice all these are being lifted up, getting it back up to normal. And from helping to manage depression, then it's helping to bring you back up to feeling better in a mood. So you can see how this ended up in the lift category. And now the NeuroIM, which this is a fantastic, simple but fantastic testimony. Talking about helping Becky. She had a concussion several years ago, and now, since she was able to add in the NeuroIM, she was now able to concentrate. The brain fog lifted that had been there as a result of the concussion, and her daily headaches are gone. NeuroIM is a product that lifts brain function, blood sugar, multiple different things, and it's got 10 different mushrooms in it. It's so fantastic. It is one of my favorite products, as many of you know. So I decided to highlight one of the mushrooms that is in it. It is a beautiful mushroom called lion's mane. And again, keep in mind, there's 9 other mushrooms in the NeuroIM. So this mushroom helps with mild cognitive impairment, helping the nerve growth factor for that connection in the brain, helping reduce inflammation when you're looking at things like Alzheimer's, reducing oxidative stress like for Parkinson's, the depression, helping to myelinate neurons, again, connection. It's hepatoprotective, so it's protecting the liver, it's working for anxiety, it's getting blood sugar. In fact, there's several of these mushrooms in this formula, or at least 1 or 2, that have been documented to be as effective, if not more effective, than metformin when it comes to blood sugar. So that blood sugar, where it might be dropping for someone who's hypoglycemic or running too high for a diabetic, lion's mane is one of those components that helps to regulate that. And then we're looking at helping to get cholesterol normalized, neuropathic pain, and then different types of stomach issue. Pancreatitis. I've been seeing lots of issues with pancreatitis. And unfortunately, I'm starting to get a lot of new reports in young children with Crohn's disease. So NeuroIM, it might be something to consider for that. And this is also the one that can be one of the ones that a lot of people like drinking as a tea, mixed with the Soul Clear. So now we're going to learn a little bit more about the Soul Complete, which is our protein formula that is in the lift category.
Hey everyone. Okay, so if you were to ask me what my favorite Soul product is, I would probably have to say it's Complete. Love it because it was one of the first products that I ever tried, and it was what helped heal my stomach, my gut issues, and really helped change my health for the positive. I've also used it with a lot of family members who have digestive or gut issues, and it has been a total game changer. So I am so grateful for Soul Complete. One of the reasons that I love it so much is because that's what my mom has used just to help heal her gut. She's been through 2 different times of having cancer, and on both times she went through chemo. The first time she did not have any Soul products, and the second time she did. So it was a complete night and day difference. She was able to eat a lot better when she had the Soul products. One of the things that we put her on was the Complete. When she was going through it, she was not able to eat. Her stomach always hurt, and when she did eat, it would just go through her. And so it was always an issue for her. So we started her on the Complete, and it not only went in and helped just so that she could keep food down or in, whatever, but it actually, I think, started healing the lining of her stomach and her gut, and just really changed so that she could eat and get the nutrition that she really needed. So I'm so thankful for this product. So Greg, thank you so much just for starting Soul and for just bringing all these incredible products to the Soul line. So anyway, I would say that it's probably one of the products that has changed my family the most, and we are so grateful for it.
I love this testimony because it covers so many different things that the Complete does. I've used it a lot with people who've gone through cancer treatment, any type of stomach issues. I use it for children. We've got people that were using the protein ball recipe to help with diabetes, or while they're pregnant to make sure they get enough protein. This is just an incredible product, and with no grain in it whatsoever, it makes it very user-friendly for people. Now, I did just pull one slide, and it had to do with the pea protein in it, because so many people think that whey powder is the way to go. But a lot of your whey powder actually causes a lot of indigestion issues for a lot of people. I'm one of those people that my stomach would just rumble, just like this gift that I put here, and you could hear it from a mile away, and it just didn't hold me. But pea protein is very high in lysine. It is naturally gluten-free. It's pretty darn digestible. It has plant-based iron. We have a lot of people are dealing with anemia these days. And then it's high in your branch amino acids. It's good for the heart because the arginine, rich in magnesium. But this Complete formula, it's so much more. You've got rejuvenating type fiber blends that are in there, and it's stuff that actually helps to restore digestive function. I have found it to be one of the best protein that I've ever used, and really does lift up and help to correct digestion issues. I have had multiple people tell me that they used to have to carry around a second set of clothes because their bowel would release uncontrollably. But once they switched to Complete, this made all the difference for them. And now we're going to look at Cinnamate, which is the signature drink that is in the lift category. So one of the things that she's talked about, and this is an older testimony because her 3-year-old is about 7 or 8 now, but Cinnamate has been huge for that family. And she was talking about how her daughter would struggle to get words from her brain to her lips, but she was also at the same time so tightly wound that she had a hard time regulating emotions. And when she drinks the Cinnamate, she is more articulate and more peaceful inside. And it's interesting to me that, and she gave an example. She says, a week without Cinnamate, my guess is they happened to run out, resulted in multiple hours-long battles over simple issues she just couldn't pull herself together for. 2 days back on it, same issues were resolved in 10 minutes as opposed to hours. So Cinnamate is so good for our youngsters as well. I think many of you know that I've talked about traveling with one of our grandsons when he was 3. He's 13 now. And we were traveling across country, and he was getting kind of lippy in the back seat, which was not like him at all. And I dug into my purse. I was hoping for Violet, but I found Cinnamate. That's all I had. So I mixed it up, handed it to him, and he started drinking it down. And then it got quiet in the back seat. And I said to Troy, my husband, I said, oh my goodness, do you notice this? And he's like, yeah. And so I got my grandson to give me some, but I realized at that point that his blood sugar had gotten out of balance, and that's what was causing the moodiness. And he was just absolutely fine and chill after that. So what are the key benefits that come with Cinnamate? What are we lifting in this category? So even though with blood sugar management, sometimes it's too high, it needs to come down. In this case, we're lifting up functioning of the whole, everything tied with blood sugar. We're lifting up our ability to control cravings. We're lifting up stability for stamina, increasing and supporting our digestive energy, and immune enhancing. So all these different areas are being lifted up, again, to support that. Now I have asked Greg to take a couple minutes and share some of information about the nutritional density that comes with yerba mate. And there you go, Greg. I just made you a co-host.
Oh, you're awesome. And thank you for this great education, Val, and everybody who shared. I love listening to all these. Learn so much myself every time. I want to share tonight, and we're going to see if my computer's being a little slow here. That's weird. The little arrow is doing some weird things that it doesn't usually do. Okay. Right, we're going to see if this works. This is one of my very favorite presentations by Dr. Allison. She goes into plant chemistry. I don't know if you remember this one. It's called Yerba Mate and Basic Plant Chemistry. We're starting 19 slides into it. Because I thought maybe I could take a couple minutes and share a few things. Okay, Yerba Mate, it's an evergreen. It's a member of the holly family. The species that grows in Paraguay has been the most studied. It is abundant in different areas in South America. They'll steep the leaves and drink it like a tea. It's a social thing. In Argentina, Uruguay, Paraguay, Chile, Brazil, all those countries, really the whole south half of South America, which is really 3/4 of South America, if not more, drinks this and knows about this tea. Some people call it a liquid vegetable. I think that's funny because they drink it liquid, but look at all the stuff it has in it. Look at these antioxidants. You probably recognize some names if you're into nutrition. Look at all the minerals there. Calcium, zinc, manganese, selenium, magnesium. Look at the B vitamins, vitamin A and C, 15 different amino acids. This is just this is like a highlight list because why she's going to give us a number. But yerba mate is really famous for this class of alkaloids that are called xanthines. And she taught us a little about these xanthines. She gave us some examples. Caffeine, yeah, we know about that one. Theobromine, theophylline. They do different things. They elevate and lift heart rate, digestion, relax smooth muscles. Sometimes that's one of those wonderful counterintuitives. When smooth muscle can relax, we actually elevate the rebuilding and the energy producing processes in the body. Well, guess what? Yerba mate has all three of these. Very often plants have one of the threes. And in fact, the caffeine I got to point out, she's going to show us now, is actually not caffeine. We're just going to go ahead and call it that because it's very, very similar. And scientists thought about this for years. But xanthines, they are similar, but they have very different, as Allison says, pharmacology or effects in the body. So here is an interesting quote. If you're interested in the fact that yerba mate, you can kind of answer this question for everyone. People say, oh, caffeine, I don't do well on caffeine. Dr. Mowry has this great quote. Having studied it for many years, it actually differs quite significantly from caffeine in other plants. And that's why scientists called it matine. They were trying to say it's a very similar but different substance. And for a long time, people are saying it's so similar. No, it's the same thing. You're calling it something else, but it isn't. And I'll tell you why, because not just in the chemistry, but also in the use over really millennia, we're talking, that peoples have used it here. It is not habituating. Major point, yerba mate is loaded, dense nutrition, but not habituating. Something that elevates and stimulates, but does not addict. It actually provides for better sleep, not worse, which is the opposite of things that are more common stimulants that aren't so holistic. It actually improves muscle performance without those negative effects. And I've talked to a number of caffeine sensitive individuals over the years that don't have any problem. Now, the theobromine is the other thing in yerba mate. It's different because it's more long lasting. It is something that helps lower blood pressure. So this is one of those where people think I'm drinking this, but I got to be careful of my blood pressure. No, this is actually, and I'm going to come up with a summary and show you that. Here's the number. Now, this is 2005, 196 known beneficial chemical compounds. She uses the word volatile because they're active. They're elevating, they're lifting. It constantly outperforms different, very famous plants or teas that do certain things. They aren't nearly as broad as mate. She did some comparisons for us. If you look at green tea and black tea and mate, look at these are just different elements in it. And you'll see that mate, it is really amazing in what it does. Whereas caffeine in coffee and colas actually does clinically shown impair memory, impair sleep, contribute to anxiety. Yerba mate enhances memory, does not cause anxiety, and can improve sleep. That there's a huge difference in the use of it. Immunity is compromised by these other forms of lifting, but not in mate. In fact, lots of antiviral and anti-mutagenic studies. There's a long list. I wish that we did more of it here. So much of this has happened in Europe, but there are more studies happening here. It's really because it's such a complete, it is an adaptogen, we know, though you won't always see it on lists, but it is a classic adaptogen. And I'm going to jump past these other studies. Let me just tell you this. Again, just examples of how your blood is improved and cleaned with yerba mate. Any number of benefits. In fact, I'm going to jump out because I've taken more than a few minutes. But I believe that the reason for that is because of its diversity of components and because of its balance. Just an example were those 3 xanthine alkaloids, which typically a plant will have one, and here it's got this suite of all 3 mixed with others. And that's why we see what we see with yerba mate. It is, to me, such a gem that I'm so glad we have here at Solle.
Perfect. Thank you, Greg. People do not realize the power that plant brings to the table.
Yeah, and this is the #1 ingredient in cinnamate.
Excellent. So these are all the products at the moment that are in the lifting line, and we just covered those. So you've got a choice of thinking about what areas you want to lift. You need to lift digestion. As you saw, actually, almost all of these can work to lift digestion. They can also all have had benefits once working with blood sugar. We've also seen them all help to modulate and normalize sleep. It's interesting to me how many different results that we can get with these products, yet we can have this overlap at the same time. So, get in and look. You've got lots of different choices. And if you're like many of us, you'll end up with most of these in your home and rotating through them on a regular basis, if not on a daily basis. So our quote to end with today, I thought was pretty good. By changing nothing, nothing changes. So my challenge is to pick something somewhere to work with. Pick one of the lift products that you think is missing in your protocol and add it in. By bringing in and at least trying something, you have the opportunity for change. But I guarantee if you do nothing, you won't see a change in your health for the better. That's for sure. It will at least stay status quo. And then next week, we will be covering the clarified category. So again, if you want to get the updates or the little reminders with the link for these Zooms, you can text the word LEARN to 1-866-256-1970, and you will get the reminders about 15 minutes before we start.